We're being joined by Daniel Geltrude, who is an American analyst and economist. He's joining us live from New Jersey. Mr. Geltrude, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us here on WION. The question that I want to ask you is this. Now, as we speak, the shares of the Deutsche Bank are said to have fallen nearly about 13% because insuring the deposit that it has now become much more expensive. How much of a trouble is the Deutsche Bank in?
I don't think that we should be jumping to the conclusion that Deutsche Bank is actually in trouble. I think what we're seeing here is a lot of panic, and it's easy to understand why that happens because the banking system is so vital globally to all the economies and literally down to every individual person who has their money and their funds in any bank. So we can understand why there's concern. At the same time, we have to understand that the emotion related to this circumstance may be worse than what the actual financial situation is. Now, when people look at the banking system, they understand it's heavily regulated, whether it's in the United States or globally.
Right.
So when we look at, there's internal audits, external audits, you have regulators, and yet still, somehow, we're at least seeing some banks that have been mismanaged. So I can understand why people are concerned.
No, Mr. Geltrude, it's good that you're trying to reassure people that they should not worry, but the fact is, it is in banks that people, in fact, put their deposits in. It's their life savings. And when you're looking at what has happened with Deutsche Bank today and with what has happened with the 3 American banks in the last fortnight, then this is a cause of serious concern for people who've got their investments in the bank, who've got their life savings in the bank. You're right. There is government regulation, but despite of that, there is a problem, is it not? Because what has seemed to have happened with the Deutsche Bank is that now it's become much more difficult to, in fact, insure the assets that the Deutsche Bank has, which is what has resulted in the bank shares plummeting by 14% today.
Well, we have 2 separate issues here, right? We have investors in the bank and we have bank customers. So the priority always needs to be to protect those customers. But what customers have to understand, if there's going to be a run on the bank, whether it's Deutsche Bank or any other bank worldwide, banks don't keep all that money available. So if everyone goes to the bank and says, I want to pull my money out, it's not there. So that's part of the reason why everyone needs to stay calm, concerned, but calm, because the alternative ends up being a self-fulfilling prophecy of a bank run.
Absolutely. And my final question to you is this. When the banks collapsed in the United States, the Silicon Valley Bank and the Signature Bank, it was said that this is now going to be a self-contained kind of thing. It may not be a rerun of what happened in the 2008 crisis. But looking at what's happened since the American bank's closure, Credit Suisse, the second biggest lender in Switzerland, that seems to be in all kinds of trouble, although that's a bank that's been in trouble since 2021. And now Deutsche Bank, a heavyweight, a German heavyweight, also in a bit of a trouble. Do you think we're looking at some pretty choppy times ahead?
Well, I think they are going to be choppy times. And what this shows is how the banking system is interconnected globally. So if one part of the world starts to have a banking crisis, it's very difficult for it to be isolated just there. It's going to spill out around the world. So I think everyone needs to be looking at what's happening globally and seeing where those issues are so we can stop it from continuing to impact all parts of the globe.
Absolutely indeed, Mr. Geltrude. Thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION and speaking to us. It is going to be a very interesting bit of a time to see as to how the markets react when they open on Monday morning. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us.
Thank you.